Okay, hello, this is my first video. I'm a great Elvis fan. Have been for years. I bought an album called Heartbreak Hotel years ago. Like most people could say, that was the first song that, got me interested in music, really. But here's studio albums. I know there is other albums, like soundtracks from the movies and live albums. These are just the studio albums from 1956 to 1977. In chronological order. The first one is Elvis Presley, 1956, his debut album. Now the cover on it looks like it was taken from a live show he was doing, just like a random shot. Very unusual for an album cover. You'd think he would have got a screenshot or a photo shoot, a proper background. But no, they just took a random shot, which I thought was clever enough. It shows him in action, in black and white. Some of the pictures the album covers I found online, they were kind of damaged and, I couldn't find a clear picture. But what I did was I used ChatGPT to restore the images. Some of them are coloured in, but this was originally black and white, but AI coloured it in for me. It looks pretty good. But this is Elvis's debut album, 1956. And also, it sold to a couple of million copies. I think it was 1 or 2 million copies. So he had number one with Heartbreak Hotel. And this album comes out then. I think I'm getting it right as what I've been hearing, doing the best research I can. But this was his first album, debut album. Million copies, gold record. He had a couple of gold records. He had Heartbreak Hotel. Well, I think it was 17, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm talking about early days. That's Alright Mama didn't go gold. Probably didn't in the end. It would have went gold by now, but at the time, Heartbreak Hotel was the song that brought him to fame. Of course, he was on the Ed Sullivan Show, Steve Allen Show, but this album came out. This is the one that did it. This is the album that made him famous after Heartbreak Hotel, Then his second album was just called Elvis. Clever enough, just used the name Elvis. And it's 1956 as well. I like this album. Really good songs on it. I love the slow songs on it. I like Rip It Up and Any Places Paradise When I'm With You is pretty good. A lot of good songs on it. Future videos we'll talk about the songs, but we'll just look at the album covers this time. So that's 1956. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Elvis's best-selling record. I know It's Now or Never was his best-selling single, but the best-selling album was Elvis' Christmas album, which came out a year later, 1957. And there's a couple of different covers for the albums. I think there's about 4 or 5 different Christmas covers. And now to date, they have different covers again. But one of these covers is the original one. I don't know which one it is, but here's 2 of them. But there's many more. But I think it sold something like 20 million copies. Every Christmas, you see, someone would buy an Elvis record. It was very clever, do a Christmas album. But them days are gone now. It's all digital downloads, and it's a pity, but that's the way music has gone. AI is making up songs, and people don't know the difference because it gets so real in the end. But I like the authentic Elvis Presley old records. Not just the vinyl, but the CD or a digital download. But keep them, and you get fooled by AI, but don't use those. Get the original album. That's a 20 million seller record, Christmas album. I like that one. But then Elvis, as you know, he got drafted in the army for almost 2 years, I think. But when he was in the army, he wasn't recording, but he was listening to records, and he picked out a selection, put them together, and called it, it was after the Frank Sinatra show in 1960. So he came out with Elvis Is Back. And that was a pretty good seller as far as I know. I think they went gold. I think every Elvis record really went. If it didn't go gold at the time, eventually it did years later. And of course, after that, you had GI Blues. It was like supposedly when he got drafted in the army, this was a story about how the army was, but it wasn't like that. It's more or less a love story. But GI Blues is one of the popular ones. It's one of the good films he made. I like Fever Las Vegas myself, with Anne Margaret. Then we have one of my favourite. Yeah, I think he got 3 Grammys for his gospel music, but His Hand in Mine, 1960, fantastic. Anything Gospel by Elvis, fantastic, 1960. This next album, there's some good songs on it, but I never had the album. Something for Everybody. It's kind of like, it's like a compilation, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? I think it was just songs he recorded around that time and put it together. So 1961. After that, he had Potluck, 1962. As I said, I'm not going to talk about all the songs in the record. I'm just showing you the album covers. They're hard to get online, album covers, but I kind of digitally restored them myself. Took a lot of time digitally restoring these albums. See how clear they are? I could zoom right in and it won't get pixelated, if you know what I mean. Still in focus. With the help of AI, I was able to restore album covers, you know, even damaged ones. And then this is like Something for Everybody, but this is not. It's Elvis for Everyone, came out in 1965. So that was pretty okay, you know. Probably wouldn't have bought it, but I would have waited for the next album, How Great Thou Art, another Grammy for Elvis Presley. He only got Grammys for his gospel music, did you know that? I think it was 3. How Great Thou Art was one of them, 1967. And then he came out with a great album, From Elvis in Memphis, 1969. I think the In the Ghetto was one of the #1 hit for him. Was it 1970? But this album has all brilliant songs on it. He has a new band, and we'll go into it deeper, later on in future videos. And then Elvis Country. It shows the album of Elvis when he was young with his parents. And I'm 1,000 years old was written on it. But it's called Elvis Country. That was 1970. Well, at that time he was in Vegas as well. So Elvis like a workaholic. Did he ever take a rest? I think he took a rest near the end. He didn't tour, but he still toured. But I think too many tours. But you look at Elvis's life. Did he ever was he a workaholic? No, I think he just loved music. You get me? I believe he just loved music. That's why he wanted to record music and let people hear it. He wanted people to hear what he loved, you know. Love Letters came out then from Elvis, 1971. I like a couple of songs. When I'm Over You, I like that song. Then Elvis Now came out, 1972. Elvis Now. Pretty good. The recording engineers got better. Of course, it was all stereo in this stage. But that was okay. Anything from Elvis is okay, if you know what I mean. He could sing Three Blind Mice or Jingle Bells, and people still buy it, you know, because it's Elvis. It's authentic, you know. There's only one. Then he had this another gospel album, He Touched Me, 1972. We're getting on a bit now. We're getting close to the end. That was another Grammy for him. Now He Touched Me, 1972. And then this one is called the Fool album, they call it. Because like Elvis used to make an album and just call it Elvis. Like his first album in 1956 was just called Elvis, and his second one was called Elvis as well. So they had no real title. So this one was called Elvis again, 1973. But people refer to it as the Fool album, so you won't get mixed up with the 1956 album called Elvis. So it's just called Elvis 1973, but really it's the Fool album. I like the next album, Elvis Raised on Rock and For All Time's Sake, 1973. Then he had Good Times in 1974. Pretty good, like a choice of songs, more like slow country songs, you know. And then he had Promised Land, Chuck Berry song. Fantastic. He done some job on that song, Promised Land. I think it's one of his best. I know Suspicious Minds is popular and Always on My Mind and Burning Love, but Promised Land is up there, you know. The album is worth it just to get that song, you know. 1975. And I loved the Today album, 1975 as well. See, he was like a workaholic. He had 2 albums out in 1 year. That was some doing. I mean, a lot of rehearsing goes into an album, you know, and picking songs and keys, and, 1975 today. I like And I Love You So, Susan When She Tried, all these songs. Shake a Hand is my favourite. I know I Can Help Us on it. Oh, Bringing It Back. That's some song. I love Bringing It Back. Don't know if you ever hear that one, but this is my first video, by the way. Well, I've done lots of other videos, but I've never done an Elvis video. But I hope to do a few more. I like to look at it back as a reference, And then another album came out called From Elvis Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, 1976. We're getting close to the end now. Slow ballads, but pretty good. There's a couple of fast ones on it. We'll look on it in next videos, And his last album was called Moody Blue, 1977. Most of them went gold anyway in the end, That's his last album. That was Elvis' studio albums, But we will talk about the soundtrack albums next.